This episode is called The Most Important Skill You Can Have in Dating. What does that tell you? You're going to want to stick around to find out what that skill is. My name is Evan Mark Katz. This is the Love You Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for listening. We've been doing this since 2017. Still doesn't get old. Not for me, anyway. I still enjoy every minute of it. Thank you for subscribing on Spotify and Apple. Thank you for your kind comments and reviews. They mean the world. If you haven't done that before, please let that be the gift you give to me today, is the gift of a kind word. I discovered that when you talk about a subject for 22 years, it's hard not to cover some of the same ground over and over and over again. I've also discovered there is value to repetition. And so I realized that in writing today's podcast, because I had a really good story to tell, that it's very similar to something I talked about 2 podcasts ago about how to eliminate the wrong guys early on in dating. That's what we're going to get into here today. And I can't emphasize how very important it is to avoid dating the wrong guy at the beginning so you don't fall in love with the wrong guy and discover that the wrong guy is the wrong guy 20 years from now. Before I tell you exactly how to do this in the form of a story, just a reminder, the Next Extraordinary Love series is coming up. Over 700 women will have been registered. The topic is how to set boundaries without pushing men away. You think these might be important skills? I think they are. How to set boundaries without pushing men away. This is a live Zoom call, half-hour lecture, half-hour Q&A that usually lasts a little bit longer. And we're going to talk about one of the more important topics, which is coming from a place of confidence and learning to communicate in a way that men listen to you and want to take care of you and want to step up. This kind of stuff doesn't come naturally to most people. So hopefully there'll be some really good questions on that call. And now let's start today's story. I've got a client. She's in her mid-50s. She's divorced after a long marriage, facing an empty nest. This describes most of my clients, to be fair. And she's just a thrill to work with, heavily invested in this process. Doesn't just have a dating coach, also has a matchmaker, has a really rich, full life, travels a lot, and always makes time. Sometimes I got really busy, successful clients who don't make time for this process. She always makes time for this process. And so she has what we would call a full funnel, meaning there's the funnel of men that she could possibly be talking to, and only a small percentage of them earn the right to get her attention. And she was telling me on our last coaching call, she shall remain nameless, about 3 different guys in her funnel. 3 different guys that she was considering at this point in time. First guy took up most of our conversation because he's the one who's the front runner. He's the guy that I listened to, and I heard the stories about him for 3 months, June, July, August roughly. And from all accounts, I only know what my clients tell me, he's a great guy. He's an excellent conversationalist. He is genuinely interested in what women have to say. A lot of guys are not. They have a lot of fun together. And they've had a really nice summer kind of casual relationship. Not this sort of cynical, friends with benefits thing, but they're seeing each other like grown adults. That does involve sex. From the coach's perspective, this guy never mentioned the word girlfriend in the entire time they were seeing each other. He never mentioned the idea of being married again in the entire time they were seeing each other. And he just seems generally content with the relationship that they had over the summer, which is casual, right? And maybe exclusive. Maybe they're not sleeping with anybody else, but they're seeing each other. I think that's probably the best word. They've been seeing each other all summer, non-exclusively, sleeping together. And so I've kind of sat back as a coach and listened. I don't want to, I generally don't want to tell people what to do unless they ask me to tell them what to do. And so kind of been letting the story play itself out, seeing if he escalated his efforts over time. And got to make a caveat about the word exclusive. You may have heard me say it before. Exclusive is not really a thing. Exclusive is a legal loophole that men use to give you the illusion that you're in a relationship. Exclusive only means I'm not looking for anybody else or sleeping with anybody else right now. Exclusive does not mean I'm your boyfriend, and it does not mean I necessarily want to explore a future with you. So a lot of women think, oh, we're exclusive. It means something. It means he's too lazy to go out and sleep with anybody else. You'll do for now. So never settle for exclusive. But that's where we are. So that's bachelor number one, right? He's the one who put in 3 months with my client and is seeing him. Bachelor number two is 11 years younger than my client. He's 43. He's never been married. But he's cute and he's charming, and they met in real life, and he asked her out, and she's been thinking about it, and he's different, right? She's a WASP. He's Asian. They come from sort of different backgrounds, and since she's in the experimental phase of dating post-divorce, she's like, maybe I should give this guy a shot. He's really different than me, and I should try different guys. Evan, you're always telling me to be open to different possibilities, so maybe I should try this guy. Totally understand that logic and why she wants to try this guy. Bachelor number three is an ultra high net worth guy. We're talking about ultra high net worth. We're talking, $20 million plus. That could be considered an attractive quality. And she met him through an organization with other wealthy people. He's in a faltering relationship, and so he started to confess the problems in his relationship and got into a little text exchange, a little flirty text exchange that she really enjoyed. And, they talked about what they were going through post-divorce and how difficult dating is and blah, 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 blah. And they were complimenting each other. And he said, he probably, after he breaks up with this girlfriend that he's with right now, he should probably be single for at least a year. These are things that he shared with her, either on the phone or via text. So I'm listening to this phone call, and she's just downloading, just telling me about all the guys she's seeing, which is part of my job as a dating coach, is to take it all and listen. And I was like, do you realize there's a pattern here? And she couldn't see a pattern because the three men were so different. I said, your pattern here is that these are huge structural problems that are going to ultimately doom the relationship, but you're willing to look the huge structural patterns that are going to doom the relationship because these guys are either cute or smart or funny or successful. And cute, smart, funny, successful allows you to override the obvious thing at the very beginning, to drive over the orange cones, through the yellow tape that warn you, do not come into this crime scene. And you're like, well, maybe I could explore the crime scene a little bit. Maybe there's something to be had here. Maybe I should just get a little experience. Maybe I should try. So she laughed because she didn't see the same thing that I saw. And from where I sit, these are all pretty obvious dead ends. And I think it's really interesting to see how someone I really, really like, really, really respect, can rationalize, right? The human's ability, all of us, the ability to rationalize choices. I'm sharing it with you because I found it fascinating. I had to run and do a podcast about it. So she could continue to see the guy she's been seeing for 3 months and keep on casually seeing him for another 3 months, right? But if this guy hasn't offered to take down his profile, call himself her boyfriend, talk about a future, what he'd like to see happen down the road. If this guy has not volunteered this information in 3 months, I have 100% confidence he's not going to offer that information in the next 3 months. Because men who want you to be their girlfriend and want to eventually fall in love and get married will tell you that. You don't have to prod them. How do you know if a guy he'll tell you. Most guys, and you've seen this before, most guys will tell you like right away. You'll be on a second date. He'd be like, oh my God, you're so amazing. I don't want to see anybody else. You'll be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Guys will tell you when they're excited about you, and they'll act excited about you. What are you doing tonight? What are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing the next day? What are you doing this weekend? I want to take down my profile. I want you to meet my friends. I want you to meet my kids. That's what they do. This guy hasn't done it. And she's trying to figure out, maybe, I really enjoy his company. Maybe we could make this work. I don't see it. So this goes back to the second you realize it's not going anywhere, this is when you cut it off. But she doesn't want to cut it off because it's nice having male attention after a marriage that went south. I can totally understand that. But if she's investing her hope and time and energy in this guy, it's like the metaphor I use is like putting money into a bank account that you'll never be able to withdraw from. Why would you put more money into a bank account that you're never going to withdraw from? That's the 3-month guy who's not your boyfriend, which is why in Love You, we usually say 4 to 6 weeks max. If he hasn't declared, right, that he wants to be with you in that time, he's probably not going to. And we can make excuses. Oh, it's the summer, we're traveling. All right, fine. That's why we've given him 3 months. We have all the excuses. He still has, the farthest he's come is maybe we could be exclusive. So my recommendation, fire the intern. Next guy, 11 years younger. I have no judgment about age gap relationships. I have no judgment about casual sex. I have no judgment if my client wants to go have an experience, to be able to have a fling, to tell a story about pulling a guy who's 11 years younger, notch in her belt. A woman who's facing an empty nest and a man who is still contemplating starting a family are not on the same page with what they're looking for in life. They're just in different phases of life. Even if they like each other, even if they're attracted to each other, even if the conversation is scintillating and they discover they have more in common than they think, their life phases are considerably different, and she's looking towards travel and a retirement, and he's still in building his career. And so it's fine. Go ahead. Do it. That's what I told her. You have my blessing. Just because I tell women, don't sleep with guys who aren't your boyfriend. Well, that's if you want him to potentially be a boyfriend. If you want to sleep with a stranger for the experience, it's good. But that's also generally not why people hire me, is to learn how to have a fling with a younger guy. You could do that without coaching, right? So what he gets out of it is the thrill of an older woman who's not looking to him for his money, who is probably just out of a divorce. She's on the rebound, probably not, in his opinion, not looking for a commitment. She is ultimately. So why do younger guys go for older women? They're a really safe place. They're sexy, they're attractive, they understand the world. They're going to be less demanding perhaps than a 39-year-old woman who wants to have kids. Right? So I can understand why he would like her. I can understand why she would like him. I don't see them as a long-term match. And there's enough men in the world that why would she invest her time on a long shot? And if you go to Wikipedia and check out the spread for age gap relationships, the number of marriages where the woman is over 10 years older than the man, 1%. So we're bucking the odds. So then I'm left with, so why would she's like, well, I'm just going to go out with him on a date. Well, why would you even go out with him on a date? Well, for the experience. Well, then if you like him, then what? You go out with him on a second date and a third date, and then you're going to hook up, and it's fine. But how much time do you want to spend, right? When you came looking to date better, date smarter, date with purpose, you can take these tangents. It's fine. Like, life is about experiences. Life is about tangents. But nobody hires me to do the same thing they did before they got here. So that's bachelor number 2. No. Finally, bachelor number 3. He's a rich guy. He's charismatic. He's flirty. But what do we already know about him from our limited interaction? He's emotionally cheating on his wife, his girlfriend. He has a girlfriend right now. And he's telling a stranger that he's going to break up with his girlfriend and is actively flirting. How would that make you feel if you were the girlfriend? So that's what I know about this guy. This guy can have a mini emotional affair with a stranger while he still has a girlfriend, and the texts are there to prove it. Right? That's his moral code. Right? And he dropped, believe the negatives, ignore the positives. He dropped that, indeed. He should probably, after this breakup, not be in another relationship for a while. That's not stopping him from flirting. That's not stopping him from asking her out. And she's considering it. She was, until this conversation I had with her. She was considering it because it was so great on paper. Except for the fact that he has a girlfriend right now. I think he might have dumped her since then, but he had a girlfriend at the time, right? And he said he shouldn't be dating. So are we going to pretend that didn't exist because he's charismatic and rich? I'm not going to pretend that exists. I believe someone when they say, I probably shouldn't be dating right now. That person's not emotionally available, commitment oriented. And my client really does believe in not just long-term commitment, but marriage. So why would she waste her time on some guy who's on day one of the rebound after he broke up with his girlfriend? So this is the thing. She was really considering all three of these guys. Right? And this doesn't make me a hero. I'm just the guy who's standing on the side, waving his hands like, hey, do you see the trouble that you're about to enter into? Right? And most people that I've worked with don't notice these things for, I guess, reasons of attraction. We get so enamored with someone and the excitement and the potential and the attraction that we ignore these huge structural things that would prevent a long-term relationship from happening now. Not the potential one day when he's in a better place, one day when the 40-year-old guy grows up, one day when the rich guy is past his emotional unavailable rebound phase, one day when the 3-month guy starts talking about commitment. It's just not now. We have no evidence that these guys are commitment oriented. So why would we invest a day, a week, a month, a year with any of them? Right? This is short-term pleasure. And as long as we continue to pursue short-term pleasure and then get shocked that the short-term pleasure doesn't result in a long-term relationship, well, now you can see why dating is the definition of insanity. This is what the most incredible, high-powered, intelligent, beautiful, successful women do without guidance. That's what they do. So if you want a guy who's ready now, not a project to work on, where you have to kind of keep your fingers crossed that sure enough, he turns out to be the guy that you hoped he would be. This pains me. This pains me because I generally work with clients for 6 months, and then I encourage them to go fly and do their own thing and learn to trust their judgment. And people tend to lapse back into these patterns when they leave. Most people don't want to, pay for dating coaching twice, and I totally get that. But you really need a support network. You really need guardrails to avoid falling back into these traps. And I know I hate sounding like the scolding dad. I listen to myself, right? Splashing cold water every time my client comes to me with another crush, right? But I would rather be the bad guy than the person who turns a blind eye when you invest 2 years into something that we knew from the very get-go was a good chance not to pan out. So if you want to have a fling, right? If you want to date a really rich guy because it's fun to be with a guy who's got his own plane, go have fun, right? Just, you can't expect your dating coach to ignore the elephant in the room, and you don't hire a dating coach to allow you to go off on this tangent that's headed nowhere. You, whoever hires me, told me you want to find a life partner, maybe a husband, and these guys are just definitely not qualified for the job. So I'm fortunate that I've got this client really appreciates that we could have this conversation, right? Because she did have a 30-year marriage. She'd love to have another 30-year marriage, right? But it's not going to happen if she wastes her time on the wrong guys. My name is Evan Mark Katz. This is the Love You Podcast. I thank you for listening. I appreciate you, right? Especially when we talk about the tough stuff. Right? It's easy to rip on guys, and there's plenty to rip on. But when I hold up the mirror and perhaps help you reflect on why some of your behaviors have not led you to long-term relationships, I hope that's useful. Right? Because again, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with my client who I'm talking about. We're trying to fix the broken man picker part. Why do I keep on finding that relationships are disappointing. Right, well, it's why do I keep on buying houses that collapse? They never had a firm foundation from the beginning. You just never bothered to check the foundation before you bought the house. That's not my best metaphor, but you get the idea. So if you enjoyed the Love You podcast, please subscribe on every channel. Please leave us a positive review. If you haven't already, join my Extraordinary Love Series, extraordinaryloveseries.com. Next episode is on how to set boundaries without pushing men away. And if you're serious about finding love and you want someone to be the safety net and the guardrails to make sure that you make good decisions that are consistent with your long-term goals, please take the time to book a call with me. Go to evanmarkkatz.com/now or go to my website. Top of the upper right-hand corner, there's probably a button to book a call. I'll see you there. Take care. Bye-bye.